Conscientiousness. Although there is nothing so bad for conscience as trifling, there is nothing so good for conscience as trifles. Its certain discipline and development are related to the smallest things. Conscience, like gravitation, takes hold of atoms. Nothing is morally indifferent. Conscience must reign in manners as well as morals, in amusements as well as work. He only who is faithful in that which is least is dependable in all the world. That is an old piece of wisdom, but it carries a terrifyingly modern weight. It speaks to a disease that is rampant in our current culture, the obsession with the grand gesture and the simultaneous neglect of the details. We live in an era that celebrates the highlight reel, the viral moment, the overnight success. We are conditioned to believe that life is defined by 4 or 5 massive decisions: who you marry, what career you choose, the big break you finally catch. And because we are hyper-focused on these giant mythical turning points, we adopt a dangerous attitude toward everything else. We start trifling. Trifling means treating things as insignificant. It's the mindset that says, this email doesn't matter, this workout rep doesn't count, how I speak to this cashier won't change my destiny. We save our energy for the main stage, believing we can simply flip a switch and turn on excellence when the spotlight hits us. But that opening quote tears that philosophy apart. It tells us that trifling, ignoring the small stuff, is the destruction of conscience. You cannot be slothful in the shadows and brilliant in the light. It is a physiological and spiritual impossibility. The antidote, the quote suggests, is trifles, the small things themselves. The discipline of your entire life is tied to the smallest microscopic actions you take. I love that imagery. Conscience, like gravitation, takes hold of atoms. Think about that. Gravity doesn't just pull on planets and stars. It pulls on every single speck of dust. Similarly, your character isn't just shaped by how you handle a crisis. It is shaped by how you handle the atoms of your day. Nothing is morally indifferent. That is a haunting sentence. It means there is no neutral gear in life. Every single thing you do either pushes you toward the person you want to be, or it pulls you away from them. There is no actions that doesn't count. When you choose to leave the shopping cart in the middle of the parking lot instead of walking it back, that is not a neutral act. It is a vote for laziness. It is a vote for imposing a burden on others. It's an atom of selfishness. When you choose to double-check your work before hitting send, even when you're tired, that is an atom of excellence. We want to be dependable. We want to be the kind of people others can build their lives around, the kind of leaders people follow, the kind of partners people trust. But we forget that dependability is not a coat you put on before you leave the house. It is forged in the fires of the mundane. The quote reminds us that conscience must reign in manners as well as morals, in amusements as well as work. This is the holistic view of human character. You are not two people. You are not work you and weekend you. You are simply you. If your discipline collapses the second you clock out on Friday, you don't actually have discipline. You just have compliance when you're being watched. If you are ruthless and kind in the boardroom, but you are short-tempered and rude to the waiter at dinner, you are not a kind person. You are a situational actor. Real conscientiousness is seamless. It is the person who acts with integrity when the webcam is off. It's the athlete who runs through the line in practice, not just in the gold medal race. It's the understanding that how you do anything is ultimately how you do everything. If you cheat on your diet, you are practicing the art of breaking promises to yourself. If you cut corners on the project that nobody will notice, you are training your brain to accept mediocrity as a standard. These are not isolated events. They are rehearsals. And someday, when the stakes are truly high, when the pressure is unimaginable, you will not rise to the occasion. You will sink to the level of your training. You will default to the habits you built in the dark. So, the call to action today isn't to go out and change the world in one afternoon. It isn't to make a grand proclamation of a new you. It is much quieter, much harder, and much more sustainable than that. Look at the atoms of your life right now. What are the trifles you've been ignoring? Is it making your bed? Is it being punctual? Is it listening, truly listening, when someone is talking to you instead of planning your response? Conscientiousness is the commitment to master the minor. It is the refusal to let the small things slide because you know that the landslide is eventually composed of sliding pebbles.
We need people who are solid. The world is shaking right now. It is volatile and uncertain. We don't need more flashy influencers. We need bedrock human beings. We need people whose word is bond, whose work is thorough, and whose character is consistent across every environment. How do you become that person? By realizing that the test is always happening. Right now, in how you finish watching this video, in what you do in the next 5 minutes. He only who is faithful in that which is least is dependable in all the world. Don't despise the day of small beginnings. Do not look down on the small tasks. Embrace them. They are the weights in the gym of character. Lift them with intention. Be faithful in the least. Because if we can't trust you with the atoms, why on earth would we trust you with the world? Start small. Be faithful there, and watch how the gravity of your life shifts.
And watch how the gravity of your life shifts. This shift is not just external. It creates an internal revolution. When you stop trifling with the details, you stop leaking energy. Every time you leave a task half-finished, every time you ignore that small voice of conscience telling you to pick up the trash or send the thank you note, you create a tiny fracture in your psyche. It's a background noise of guilt and incompetence. It drains you. But when you attend to the trifles, you silence that noise. You replace it with a quiet, unshakable confidence. You know deep down that you are not a fraud. You know that your foundation is solid because you laid every brick with your own hands and you checked the mortar yourself. This is how you build a legacy that outlasts the trends. We are so obsessed with scaling our impact, reaching millions, going global. But conscientiousness argues for depth over width. It argues that a single life lived with absolute precision and care, is a force of nature. Think of the craftsman who spends hours sanding the back of a drawer that no one will ever see. Why does he do it? Because he sees it. Because the integrity of the piece demands it. He honors the material and the craft. Your life is your craft. Are you treating it like a masterpiece, or are you treating it like a cheap, disposable commodity? The world is desperate for the masterpiece. We are starving for people who actually care. So be the one who cares. Be the one who stays 5 minutes late to ensure the job is actually done, not for the overtime pay, but for the peace of mind. Be the one who returns the extra change. Be the one whose yes implies a binding contract and whose no is a boundary of steel. It is in these microscopic moments of integrity that you declare to the universe who you are. You are not a drifter. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are an architect of the soul, building a cathedral out of atoms. Do not look for the applause. Look for the alignment. When your conscience is clear in the small things, your courage will be boundless in the big things. Be faithful in the least, and you will find that the least was never small to begin with. It was everything.